think it's difficult. You almost need a master's in chemistry to read the ingredients labels on most skincare. I mean, my sister-in-law actually has a master's in chemistry, and she can't even read some of this stuff. So that's how complex and complicated it's become. So, I mean, if you're talking about guidelines, I think one thing to watch out for is number of ingredients. I mean, if you see sort of, a whole listing of sort of 30 to 50 kind of really kind of weird sounding ingredients cut at the back, it doesn't matter what the front of the label says. And that's what we teach consumers as well. Just ignore everything on the front. Go and read the ingredients list, because that's the only thing that will actually tell you what you're paying for. So one thing is, this huge, mass of sort of, chemical names and that sort of thing. That's already an indication that you're buying something that's probably not, natural in the sense that we understand it. The other thing is to look at the first 3 ingredients. Because if you buy most skincare, 90% of what's in the bottle is in those first 3 or 4 ingredients. So, if the first 3 or 4 ingredients already sound a bit suspicious, then, it's kind of likely that, it's not something you want to put your money in. And then I think it's to watch out for things like preservatives. I think preservatives have been a really controversial area. I mean, we talk about parabens. Has anyone heard about parabens? Yeah, and some nonsense. There's been huge controversy over parabens, and a lot of that is they're linked to, as cancer, as endocrine disruptors and stuff like that. And they're still actually found in a lot of skincare. So I mean, that's an easy thing to spot, because you'll see sort of methyl paraben or ethyl paraben or butyl paraben. So that's something you can immediately say, I'm not going to buy this product because, if it contains that, it's probably a signal that the other ingredients are not going to be, as natural as it should be. And then the last thing I think is probably what most consumers it's probably the first thing that attracts you to a product, but it's probably the most suspicious thing in the product. Can anyone guess?
Fragrance.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. We got a very knowledgeable crowd. Fragrance, yeah. I mean, and it's kind of worrying because fragrance is the most innocuous thing in the ingredients listing, because it's perfume or perfume or fragrance. But it's actually the most dangerous thing in the sense that we actually have no idea what's in it. I mean, it's actually considered a trade secret. So manufacturers don't have to disclose what goes into fragrances. And most of what goes into fragrances, 90% of the ingredients of modern fragrances, the ones that are used in your mainstream products, are synthetic. And where do they come from? Petroleum byproducts. So, it's quite a worrying thing, because if you think of the number of things around you that are fragrance, not just your skincare, but your laundry detergent, your dishwashing liquid. I mean, the clothes you buy are fragrance, the furniture in your house is fragrance, the glue that holds the wood in your kitchen together is fragrance. So it's everywhere. And if you're talking about this background sort of exposure of chemicals, I mean, that's where it's all coming from. And I think, being a mom, it's like, you don't realize that for this generation of children, they will grow up exposed to skincare from within 12 hours of the moment they are born. Most of them are taken away, washed in Johnson's, coated in Johnson's oil, baby oil, which is, by the way, just pure mineral oil with a bit of fragrance thrown in. And then, a lotion, and then every day for the rest of their lives. So they're being exposed to it in far greater amounts than we have been, growing up. So it's actually an even bigger issue for kids growing up nowadays. And being sort of knowledgeable about it, it's actually quite difficult, because it's so hard to navigate the aisles and kind of know what's what. But those 4 things, I think, looking at the number of ingredients, looking at the first 3 ingredients, being aware of preservatives, and being aware of fragrances, I mean, those are probably for me the 4 biggest things. And I mean, the thing with fragrance, the interesting thing is, there are a lot of natural brands, and you're right, it's really hard to draw the line now as to what is natural and what is not natural. And as a consumer, my understanding of natural was one thing. But actually, when I became part of the industry, I realized that the manufacturer's interpretation of natural could be really completely different. And it galled me to find that out, because I was so shocked. I mean, things like organic. Who here thinks that if something is certified organic, it's grown without the use of pesticides?
That's nonsense. I live in a rural area, and organic farmers are allowed to use pesticides.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just specified.
Exactly.
They can use this or they can use that.
Exactly. So organic, even certified organic farming, okay, does not mean no pesticides. It means use of approved pesticides, which are mostly this class of pesticides called organopesticides. And the reason why they're called thought of as organic or allowed is because they are derived from natural sources. So poisonous bark, poisonous roots, poisonous plants, create a pesticide, and that's considered allowable under a lot of organic rules. But a lot of farmers say, hey, actually, a lot of truly sort of in the spirit of organic farming, farmers say, hey, it's actually a lot more dangerous to use these pesticides because they're not specific, they kill indiscriminately, because they're just poisonous in general. But it's also because they have to use a lot more applications of it for it to be successful. So there's a lot of these sort of loopholes and gray areas and interpretations of the rules which are very different from, as a consumer, what I think when you say organic should mean. So it's a huge sort of it was a huge eye opener for me. And I think that's one of the things going as a consumer forward is to do your research. If you are going to spend your money on a product, on a company, go and talk to them, email them. And if you don't get an email, I mean that's a reply in and of itself. If you don't get a reply, that's saying something. So ask about what's in your product, ask about what the ingredient is, and if you don't get a good answer, I think that's something that's a kind of a warning, isn't it? So yeah, that's my take.